Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Relapse Tackle. Thank you all for your continued support, giving the videos likes, sharing them with your friends, and subscribing. We hit the 1,000 mark, so we're going to do the mold modification video on the mill and do a random comment picker after this video. If you want to enter the giveaway, put this in the comments and something else if you'd like. If you don't want to enter, you can just watch the video. It is a lengthy video. I typically don't like to edit out a lot of stuff because I would like to see, or like everybody to see, how long it actually takes to do the stuff that I'm doing in the videos. If I edit out a bunch of stuff and it was over an hour long process and I edit it out so it's down to a 10-minute video, people will just think, okay, well, that didn't take very long at all, when there is quite a bit of work that went into doing this modification to this mold using a mill. So be sure to give the video a like, share it, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, because every little bit helps. And if fishing is your thing and you like the videos, please stick around and subscribe for more. And try to watch as much of this video as you can, because there's tips and stuff throughout the video. So let me know how the video is and stuff too. I don't typically make very many videos machining things out or anything like that, and the camera angle may have been a little bit better and stuff. So if you think that a different angle would work better, be sure to let me know. All right, thank you all. All right, so the moment a lot of you have been waiting for, milling out the new Do-It mold. This is the sorted size Midwest Finesse. Like I said, brand new, just out of the bag, still in the packaging. Always check, inspect it before you do anything with it, because there might be some issues with it, like with washout or rust and all kinds of things. All right, so before we start milling, we'll figure out where the new hooks, because we're milling this out so we can fit several other styles of hooks in this mold, so we're not just limited to the 90-degree jig hook that was meant for the mold. So like I said, make sure that there's nothing wrong with the mold before you start doing anything with the mold. And then what we'll do is we'll very carefully remove the cellophane from there. Open up this side. And then we'll pull these out of the way. Just a little hanger. I don't use the hangers, but some people do. I'll put it back on when I'm done with this before we do the giveaway. So what we're going to do is, I like to use the Burry's custom hooks on the custom net hook page on Facebook. You got a size 1 hook, size 1/0 and a 2/0, 90 degree, or not 90 degree, sorry, EWG, and then the Barbarian hybrid hook as well. So we're going to have to kind of figure out where these hooks sit in here. So that clears that piece down here. There's a little raised spot here. You're going to want to leave as much of that as possible, so when the mold closes, it has something to close up against, and closes so that it's all squared up. If I take a bunch of material off on the bottom of the mold, when you go to close it, it might tip the top of the mold. So that was good there. And then over here, you can see that if the hook is sitting in there, it has all this material in the way, so this will never close tight. So what I'll do is I'll just take a marker and I just draw down here, so kind of around there. And then I always cut it up as close as I can to where the lead fills. But we'll check these other sizes. So that you kind of have where it hits down here in the bottom. So this would be gone right through here. Just over here. Not really. And that one was the 2/0, and this one is the 1/0. So we're good here. And this one still good over here. Got a little wiggle room over here. We're kind of in that same area down here. So let me just double check with a size 1. Yeah, we're going to go up a little bit higher than that. So what I'll do is I'll just end up actually going straight across here and all of this. Just remove this just in case there's another style hook. And then we'll leave a section in this area right here. We'll leave this open right through here. We'll leave a spot there, and then all of that on this end will be there, and then just cut across, removing all of this on both sides. All right, and we'll check the Barbarian hybrid style hook too. So, and we'll double check after we start milling, make sure that everything is going to fit once we get a bunch of it milled out. So I'm going to set up the mill now. We're going to use a 1/2 inch collet, 1/2 inch end mill. This one has 4 cutting edges. So that'll go up inside the mill. All right, I'm going to run my bed down a little bit. Give me some room. Those ones are too low. These are too low, so I gotta grab some taller ones for the straight cut. I usually do the straight cuts first and then come back in and do angle cuts. Make sure the ends are nice and clean. Nobody ran anything into them. Tighten this up a little ways. Also make sure that there's no debris on the mold or the vise itself. And then I usually remove the handles as well. Gotta find a screwdriver quick. I'm hoping that the camera angles and everything are okay. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Pull these out. And I just get them off of there just so I don't ding them all up and stuff. And they do already have a couple little scratches and stuff from the factory. None of them are perfect. I think quality control's gotten a little worse over the years, but the molds usually pour pretty well unless there's a visible issue with them. Slide them off. They're tapered, so you have to pull them straight off of there like that. Don't try to wiggle them like that, you'll snap them. So I'm going to set these handles off to the side. Just put the screws just in there just a little bit. All right. And I like to do is hang the hinge end over. Start tightening it up. Careful not to hit your fingers. Tighten her up in the vise real good. And then I got my collet. Being kind of a pain. This one tightens up on the top. I gotta hold the brake, tighten it up. I'm kind of at a bad angle for the camera to see how to set the mill up. I think most of you probably don't have a mill or access to a mill, but wanted to see how to make these cuts. So I'll show you the best I can. Always make sure you remove the wrench from the top though, because if you start it up, that wrench is going right into the motor on this one. I almost did it once, and my father-in-law actually ended up doing it. But it happens. All right, I have to turn the power on and start cutting. So what we're going to do is, let's see if I can bring it down here a little bit. Sorry about the bouncy camera. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to mill it down to this flat part here, because that is the same height. When I made this mold, the hook shank sits at the same height as this. So we're going to mill everything down to that level so that the hooks fit and they sit in there straight. And then we're also going to open up the hook eyes so that if you had a hook that had a longer distance between the hook shank and the end of the hook eye, you have a little bit more room to put those in there. And then we'll be adding magnets in each one of those and magnets in each one of the spots for the hook shank. That'll help hold the wire keepers as well, if you're using the wire keepers. So I'm going to start this up and get to it. Alright, so kind of hard to get a good angle of everything. I'm actually going to want to probably move this over here. Sorry about making you dizzy. But this mill also has auto feed on it and stuff. So I'm also trying not to put the stuff in the way of me walking around it and doing stuff. Of course, I have a cord to trip over as well. And we're gonna turn this up about to the maximum speed. We're gonna bring the bed up by cranking on this handle on the front here. So I'm just going to set the height now to where I just barely touch. So I'm just barely grazing it now. So it doesn't have to be an exact science, but I like to make them look nice though. I'm not using the auto feed quite yet. For these little cuts like this, really don't need it. Alright, and I'll come up to where I'm entering. I'll just do a straight cut across. And like I said, I'm not using the auto feed. I could be using the auto feed, but I'm gonna just take my time and come across, make it nice and clean cut. Alright, and that does it for this side with the straight cuts. I'll do the straight cuts with the other side, and then I'll show you how I do the angled cuts. I'm gonna bring the bed back down, give myself some room. Turning the handle on the front here. I'd rather you guys see the actual cuts themselves rather than seeing how this mill works, because all the mills are a little different. You should take compressed air and blow this off, but I'm trying not to make a bunch of noise. So, oops. So I'm just gonna remove the aluminum, and hopefully it doesn't get embedded in my hands too bad. Should use a brush. All right, so we cut the straight cut there, and we'll come back and we'll cut the angle cut. But this mold should still close all the way tight. Okay. Now we'll hang it over the edge on this side and tighten this up as well. A little bit. Tap it down. And these two sides might not match up perfectly, but they're going to be really close when it's closed. And you know, this is a mill, not CNC, so if it was on a CNC, I would expect them to be a lot more precise, but this is still way better than trying to cut these with a Dremel tool or sanding them with a file or something like that. So, all right, we're gonna raise the bed back up so she just barely touches, and do another couple more straight cuts. You see, I want to just take just a slight bit of material there. And I want to start the straight cut down here, right at the edge of that handle, like I did with the other side. Get it as close as I can. I'll just eye it up. Zip her off. Move her up. And ready to go across. I'll bring the bed down a little bit. And since these holes for the spots for the hook eyes, they're all in a straight line too, I'm going to set up the other collet now. So I'm going to shut the power off to this machine because we have a power converter running to convert the 220 power to run the 3-phase. So I'm going to shut that off and then get that set up. All right, now that the power shut off the machine, I'm going to hold the brake and remove this collet again. Sure to not grab a hold of anything that's too hot. This one's actually not hot because we only did a couple little cuts in aluminum. Get that out of there. Now I'm going to use a 1/8 inch. Of course, it got stuck in there. So now I'm going to use a 1/8 inch end mill. Again, this one has 4 cutting edges, and it's a 3/8 collet. Now I'll have to put the other side of the mold back in to do these cuts on the other side. Kind of bounce around a little bit between different sizes and what we're doing. Kind of a pain, but then I'm sure if I spent more time doing it, I could get the process down a little bit better, but this works for me for now. So we're going to bring it up. That way. And we're going to line it up in one of them to start with. Okay, so that's in there. Now we'll lock that down, and I'm going to set my height down here on the bed. to 0. All right. All right. So we're that good there. Now turn the power back on and we'll do those. All right, and what I did was I went right around twice the distance. And I'm watching now when I raise it up to make sure that I'm centered. If you do use hooks that are above the top of the lead, so they have a little bit more of a distance, you can get a little bit more flashing. Like I said, I don't have an exact science to this, but so far it's been working. And these are a little different heights, so I'm moving this way as well. And like I said, just keeping an eye on it to make sure that I am centered. Just make sure when you're moving, making any adjustments, make sure you're moving the right direction, or you can really screw things up pretty quick. Takes a little bit of time to get used to what direction you need to be going. And just take your time and don't mess up. Yeah, looks pretty good so far. We have to do the same to the other side of the hook eyes and cut our angle cuts. There's still quite a bit of work to do. But I suppose I should probably do that to this side as well right now, and then show how I do the angle cuts. Try to get this set up quick. Took a little while to get to our first 1,000 subscribers. I know the first 1,000 is always the hardest, so hopefully a lot more people tune into the channel and subscribe and stick around. I like sending messages to people, and if anybody has any problems with anything, let me know and I'll do my best. Now we're going to set our height again on these. Make sure she's centered. So I'm going to lock this down right there, and then I'm going to turn the dial down here back to 0, putting a little pressure on it. So when I'm turning it, making the bed go up, that I'm tied up to that 0 mark. I'm going to start it up with it not into itself. And go up to that 0 right there. And the reasoning for always bringing it back to where that original hook eye was, if I go the wrong direction, it's okay, because that's where I'm going to put that magnet. So if I go a little bit deep, that's okay, because that will be getting drilled a little deeper anyway with this end mill. Always use good lighting to make sure that you get stuff lined up. Might be a little bit harder if you don't have good eyes to get things squared up and centered and where they need to be. I want to go a little bit further over. Yeah. And I could use the digital part of this mill also and write everything down and go back to each spot exactly where it needs to be, but it takes about 10 times longer to do what I can do just eyeballing it. And this is just a do-it mold, little sand casted mold. So not really too concerned about making it, you know, look like it was a CNC mold. We're going to make it work. It's going to work well. I think that's what matters most. Always wear your proper PPE, also glasses and everything. No loose fitting clothing around these moving parts and stuff. I'm always worried about other people's safety, especially after watching a video of mine. I might not do everything the safest, but I like putting my head down in the mill. We shut the power off again over here. All right, and there's the other side. Could have went just a hair deeper, I think, on them, but it's all right. So now we're ready for the angle cuts. So these out of the way. We need the shorter ones. And then we need to open up the vise quite a bit more. A friend of mine made me something up for the angled cuts. Very cool, because now I don't need to actually turn the vise or use a contraption like over here where I can turn the head to get different angle cuts. So if I wanted to, I could bolt this or clamp this down and change my angle to where I want it, and then run the bed left and right. But a friend of mine made this up, so I just use these clamps, and it already has the angle, the correct angle to it. So this is the right hand side, so I would put the right side of the mold in here, and then clamp it down. So, use these. Got little cuts in them, or little teeth that you let bite down into the other side. Hold it tight. I'm going to put the mold where I want it in there. And then tighten it down. Use the skinnier bars down here. Keep everything flat and true. I'm gonna open up my vise a little more. I'm not sure the exact degree, what angle all of these are at, but I can tell you the Midwest Finesse, the round head, all of them, they're really, really similar. So with this little jig made up, it speeds it up, speeds the process up quite a bit for all of those to be cut. I'm gonna take this collet out now, and I'll have to put it back in again when I go to do the holes for the magnets, because this is an 1/8 inch end mill, and my magnets are 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch neodymium magnets, so we'll be using those here in a little bit. Let's get the bed down lower, because this is up quite a bit higher now. And put my half inch end mill back in here. It's got a slide in, got a spot for a key, so this is a keyway. Turn it until it slides in there. You should always do this with the power off, because you really don't want to like the power to the machine off. I would unplug it or whatever, because like with this model, the brake and the power switch are very close to each other, and they look very similar. So if you're hanging on to the wrench and you go to tighten up this collet and flip the power, your hand's going to be hurting. So we'll bring this over. And we'll zero it out. Again, get the height where we want it. And I get it close. All right, about there, and then we'll drop this down to it. Not pushing down real hard. Remember, this aluminum is very soft, so you can shove it down into the aluminum and set the depth a little bit too close. All right, now that's all set. That's locked in. It's tight. All right. Another thing you can do is, since we got that set, is what I'll do is I'll actually bring it up to there and figure out how close I want to be to the head, and then just run it back and forth. If I want to get tighter to it, you can get really close to them without it being a problem. It doesn't take much to cool the lead and stop the flow, so that looks pretty good. This is also another way to check to make sure that the angle of my jig here is correct, because if you put it in the wrong way and start running this across, it could be a big problem too. So and then I could also check my auto feed speed if I wanted to use auto feed. So and the speed. So I wanted to turn it up some. I can go cutting across pretty quick or slow. So. So I have power to the auto feed right now, but the power to the mill itself is off until I turn the power on over here, which happens to be across the room. So alright, now I'm gonna fire it up. We're gonna cut this. Using auto feed now. You can see it's at a little bit of an angle. It's not quite as deep on this end as it is over here. You still have a mark where the hooks go. So I'm gonna go just a little bit deeper and cut it back across. Let it come to a stop. It's gonna take me a little bit to switch it to the other side, so I'm gonna shut the power off again. Kind of a long process. Hopefully I have enough room on my phone for the whole video. So now the angle cut is made. Like I said, you don't need much material there, and it just allows you more room for your hooks. So now I have to flip the whole shebang over, pull these completely out, and move them to the other side. Got crap all stacked up and stuff to make it work, but make it work. Now this side's for the left side. And I just push it tight up against this other side. Before locking her down so that my angle's right. Snug it up a little bit. Make sure she's down tight. No, I didn't go in or out, so my height should be, and then I just did. I grabbed the wrong handle like an idiot. All right, so I was just gonna say, since I didn't go in or out, these cuts should be really close to the same, but then I grabbed the wrong handle. So I'm gonna turn this, because my bit, the end of the tip of this cutting edge wasn't to the top there, so it's hard to see where I'm at for distance. And that all looks pretty good. So I'm going to bring it over a little bit. So, let's see this again. All right, let's start up the power again. It's a lot of work for one mold. But it's worth it in the end. Make sure my wrench isn't up top yet. All right, I'm gonna fire her up. Using that auto feed again. All right, now we're done with the 1/2 inch end mill and the angled cuts. Now we can do the next step, which would be the magnets. So we'll have to get the collet. Again, power's off to the machine. I got that tight. I wish the height on this one was digital, but you got the X and Y axis, and that's it. Get this nice and tight. And then we're going to bring this over. Bring it up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go slightly deeper than... Oh, we got to get this other piece out of the way. Getting ahead of myself. It happens sometimes. This has got to go. It's got to go. I wish I knew where the brush was. Things got moved around since the last time I was out here. So all right, handle out of my way. Nope. Oop, damn it. Got caught. Like I said, we're going to use the 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch neodymium magnets, rare earth. So there's a whole stack of them here. Just break off one of them. What we'll do is we'll just set it being a bugger. Set the height for the top side of it. I can't go up any higher. So the height's set now. We can go a little deeper than the magnet. It's fine, but I wanted to get it close. And start the power back up. You know, we're just putting magnets on the right-hand side of this mold. I could put magnets on the left-hand side or right-hand side. We're just going to go with this side because what we're going to do. So now I want to bring this up. Let's zero up the bed. So right there. That was one whole revolution around. We can keep this stuff straight. Add another light. Oop, tripping over my cord. It's in a stupid spot. Sorry about that. All right. We go to the 0. All right. Now, just bottom this out with a handle. You go back. Move down to the next one. Kind of boring setting stuff and getting things where they need to be, but there go to the 0 on the bed. Grab my handle. Move it away. Okay, 0 again. Pull the handle. Set our depth. Put that away. Always making sure I'm up high enough so that I'm not going to crash into the mold when I come across. Bring her up to 0. We had to watch 10 things at the same time. Okay. The handle again. Not high enough. At 0, again with a handle. Lowering the bed, checking it again. We're getting there, guys. We're almost done with this guy. Bed's at 0. With a handle, set our depth for the magnet. Alright, pull the bed away. Now we get to work on the ones for the hook shank. Gotta be centered. Just below. I'm gonna move this up to 0 again. We might not be quite deep enough. I just noticed. Oh no, we're good. We are good. Alright. I just wanted to check. Usually I check ahead of this, but you just use something that's magnetic. Set them in there. Pull it right back out. So we're good. Whew. Scared myself there for a second. Alright, start to back up. Okay, now I'm just lining it up as close as I can with the center of that hook shank on each one of them. Bringing it up close, but not touching. These magnets are 1.4 pound pole, so they're pretty strong magnets. Ah, no. What the hell? There was a little piece stuck to the bottom of my bit, and I went across. So, sorry for that. Like, nothing I can really do about it. It's just gonna have a little scuff mark on it. That sucks. You could sand it out a little bit. Alright, I'm going to shut the power off to the machine again. The mill. So we're using the North America Phase Converter Co. It's a phase converter. Takes 220, converts it to 3-phase, 480, using a 480 electric motor. I can get into that a little bit more if people want to know about that, if they're looking at getting a mill set up for the shop and don't have 3-phase. Once again, I apologize, whoever wins this. Got that little scuff mark on there. We'll just call it a mark of love. I can see about sanding it out, but that's pretty good. All right, we're gonna move to the next step. So we're gonna glue those in. Not right this minute, but I gotta clean up and then they're pretty strong. 1.4 pound pull on each one of these things, so they can be kind of a pain to put in place. They like to pull out of there and go to the next hole as you're placing them sometimes. Get a little extra on it, it's not a big deal. Just wipe it off. Wipe it off. Then you want to place a hook inside the mold, like so. Just to hold the hooks up to the top. And once we get done placing all the hooks in, then you can close it up and let them cure in that position.
These little buckers are strong, really strong. They got ooh. Just dab them a little bit in the end. Keep moving along. And then you're going to want this stuff to cure all the way. It's a little messy. And after it sets up too, I can go back and finish cleaning these up as well. Get a little bit of extra gasket material. Scrape it off, brush it off when it's cured. Done. Some might squish out too once the mold's closed up with the hooks in it to let cure. Alright. Now we're gonna close up the mold and let it cure. Make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff on your fingers and get it all over your handles and stuff. But that's with the neodymium magnets in there. Like I say, make sure it closes tight all the time. Close it up and let it set and cure just like that. And this one does have a couple little spots too of rust on there from the factory. I'm not sure how aluminum rusts, but they can make theirs rust, I guess. So we're gonna let it set and fully cure,